We constantly hear the modern demand to check our biases. The assumption is that if we are rigorous enough, we can strip away our personal prejudices and view the world with perfect, neutral objectivity. This treats bias as a moral failing. It imagines perception as a dirty window, one we can wipe completely clean if we just show a little humility and try a little harder. Distortion resides in the mechanics of the instrument itself. It is an inescapable feature of how we process light and information, rather than a surface smudge to be polished away. The liberal self-improvement fantasy of attaining perfect neutrality fails because it ignores the physical reality of the observer. The German philosopher Martin Heidegger once wrote a famously dense sentence: "The nothing itself annihilates." Read it slowly and it feels like language breaking down, but he isn't speaking nonsense. He is reporting a moment when ordinary understanding collapses, forcing a tool, language, to turn a complete absence into a working noun. We hit this boundary when we look at our most trusted instrument, the camera. A lens dictates exactly what is kept and discarded. Aperture decides how much light gets in. Focal length compresses distance. Exposure sets the threshold where things fail to register. Between language and optics, the rule holds firm. There is no setting marked neutral on any tool used to document the world. Look at how this glass prism splits a single beam of light into a scattered spectrum. Long before you adjust a camera's dial, the glass itself bends and refracts incoming light. That is exactly what glass is designed to do. Aberration is a fixed property of the instrument. Pick up that lens and you inherit that exact refraction, whether you are a careless amateur or a meticulous professional. No amount of intense focus will buy you a cleaner image, because your personal attention was never the variable dictating the physics of the glass. Bias is the non-negotiable cost of visibility. It is a physical toll charged to every observer before they even arrive to look at the scene. Attempting to observe the world without bias is like trying to use a lens without refraction. It is a contradiction in physics. If every single lens inherently distorts the image, it is tempting to conclude that objective truth is completely out of reach, that any perspective is equally valid. However, distortion and fabrication are distinct animals. We can infer the presence of a real object, even if we can never see it unmediated. This diagram illustrates patterned divergence. When multiple flawed lenses look at an object, their disagreements follow a specific pattern. Tracing these points back reveals a shared constraint, an invariant. We aren't looking for a perfect match, but a shared pressure pulling on every perspective. We distinguish this from fabrication by watching how those disagreements behave. A real object forces perspectives to triangulate toward a single point. A lie, by contrast, offers no such center. It is just a scattershot of unrelated errors that point nowhere. We don't require a perfectly clean lens to identify reality. The patterned disagreements between flawed instruments provide the forensic clues required to reverse engineer the truth. While a camera operates with rigid physics at the exact moment you snap a photo, it was never innocence at its point of formation. Someone had to grind that glass. Factories funded. Choices made about which optical shapes became standard. The tools and disciplines we rely on are sediment, the hardened residue of political choices made before we pick up the instrument. It is a mistake to treat an authored tool as if it is now an independent agent making neutral decisions on its own behalf. We have to separate the immediate intent of the person operating the tool from the deep, embedded history of the medium itself. Even this video is using a highly selective tool. I chose the camera metaphors specifically to highlight clean optical physics, which allowed me to background the messy politics of funding and distribution. Like any tool, the metaphor eventually breaks down. It's a thick instrument attempting to measure a boundary that has absolutely no thickness at all. Merely confessing that limitation does not erase it. Declaring that a picture is cropped does not magically restore the information left outside the frame. Intellectual honesty involves consciously selecting an aberration and admitting the overreach we often try to disown. It means owning the distortion rather than pretending it has vanished. We need to stop polishing the glass of perception to an impossible perfection and start doing the hard work of triangulating our necessary distortions with the real world.